We've had a good week of preparation. I really like the way the players have approached this week. We talked early in the week about, everybody needs to focus on what they need to do to play better, to get better, and to focus on what they had to do that day, that time, and that course of the week to prepare for the game so that we could focus on playing better and improving fundamental execution, which is really what leads to better execution. Poor fundamental technique usually leads to poor outcomes. And, this is a very, very good team that we're playing. Coach Freeze has done, a great job there, not only in the schemes that they play, the kind of players, how physical they are, how hard they play. They got really good players. So this is going to be a really challenging game for us. It's, one of these games that, like I mentioned before, if you're a great competitor, you love to play in. You love to have the opportunity to play in a venue like this in Bryant-Denny Stadium, ESPN game day here, TV game, against a division opponent that is, one of the better teams in the country, at least ranked in the top 15, and certainly deserve every bit of that with the way they played the first 2 weeks. So, we don't really have any injury updates. There's nobody that's really injured right now. So we're just going to focus on what we need to do tomorrow to polish up what we got to do and the mental practice that we need to have to be ready to play a better game this weekend.
How has Dominic Jackson come along in pass protection?
Well, that's something that we certainly need to improve. We had some issues last week, and I think he's very capable. We got to do a better job confidence-wise of getting him to trust and believe in the technique that he has to use to be successful. And that's going to be important for us because, I think we've got a really good run-blocking team. So pass protection is something that I think we need to improve on.
Coach, how has Adam Griffith looked this week, and is it possible to overcoach a guy when he's in a slump?
Well, the only thing that, we talk to Adam about is, what he needs to do to sort of get in his stride, rhythm, and have confidence in what he's doing. When he kicks extra points, he looks confident and does great, and I think mentally he has to get that same confidence when he's kicking a field goal. Sometimes it's really not any more difficult. And, I think that we're trying to help him do that. I think he really understands what he has to do, like a guy that's a good golfer understands what he has to do it correctly. I think it's being able to go out there and duplicate that with confidence that's the most important thing. And we're not trying to change what we're doing, what he's doing, or how he's doing it, but just to get him to do it the way he can do it. But I've talked about this before. When you're a kicker, you got to have an assassin's type attitude. You go out there, you got one shot, you got to make it work. If it doesn't work, you're going to be in trouble. And that's the kind of attitude and approach you have to have mentally, and that's what we really need to get back to with him.
Nick, what have you seen from their defensive line, their defensive front, but in particular their defensive line, and what are some of the challenges that those guys pose?
Well, they're really good, very active players, very athletic players. The one player that they lost was very, very quick. The guy that's taking his place is a little more of a power guy, but the rest of those guys up front, they are really, really quick, very, very athletic, really do a good job of penetrating and getting off blocks and being disruptive with their movements, good pass rushers off the edge. So, they provide a lot of challenges. And, their linebackers are fast and athletic and jump over quick when these guys, declare the gaps up front. And, that's a real challenge to finish blocks. I mean, it really is, and it's going to be a challenge for our guys.
Nobody else has got one more here without it. The vertical passing game hasn't really developed too often so far. Going against an offense like Ole Miss, where they're going to probably have a couple big plays, how do you get that going, and what's been the issue have you seen on film?
Well, the number one thing we need to do is I don't think we've tried to do a lot of vertical passing game. I mean, we've taken a couple shots, but really not what I call vertical passing game, where you're trying to attack the middle of the field and really get down the field. We haven't done that a whole lot. And when we have, the quarterbacks haven't had a chance to. It's only been a few times. It just hadn't been there. So, I think the object is not to allow Ole Miss to get all the big plays they've been having. I think that's a real key to the game for the defense, and not just assume that we got to make those kind of plays on offense to win the game. It's always nice when you make explosive plays. I think taking care of the ball and making explosive plays will have a lot to do with the outcome of this game. So it's important for us not to give them a bunch and for us to get some. But they can come in a lot of different ways. They can be big play runs. They can be, short passes that turn into long runs. There's a lot of different ways that you can make explosive plays. It doesn't have to all be in the vertical passing game.